What is going on, everybody? So I know it's been a little while, and I know the last video we did was a wrap. This one's going to be a wrap as well. I've got another Mustang in. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've had quite a few Mustangs come in lately, and super excited about it. This one's a little bit different body style. It's still an S550, but this is the 2.3 EcoBoost. I think that's right. Fact check me on that one. But the front grille, or the front bumper, is a little bit different. The rear bumper is a little bit different. The overall body style is just slightly different from the last one that we did. And like I said, those pictures are up on Instagram, so make sure you follow me at Concept Auto Solutions. I'll put it right there, or try to. So this one, just a quick backstory, and then we'll jump straight into it. So I've worked on my buddy's car a couple of times. I've done a headlight and taillight tint with Lux Auto Concepts. So as we go through this, you'll notice that we've got mid smoke on the front end of the car, and then dark smoke on the rear side markers back there, and the tail lights. Now we're gonna also change that up a little bit just to go with the flow of the new wrap. But biggest thing on this is there was an accident where when my buddy was home, someone hit him on this driver's side and went all the way down the length of the car. So what you might notice during this, depending on lighting and everything else, is that there's what's called a detailer signature, where somebody took a rotary buffer and went down to do a rough correction on the paint, just to level down anything that was painted. Doesn't always look that great, but it is what it is. And also, something I'm going to try and highlight in this video is the removal and replacement of the door handles on these S550 Mustangs, which, if you have one and you've tried to take them out before for whatever reason, you know that it can be a little bit tricky. But I'm going to link a video to a channel. I cannot off the top of my head remember what it is, but I'll put it down in the description. But he has a beautiful illustration of how the door handles work, and it saved my butt more than once. So with that being said, there was some damage on this car. It's not 100% perfect, and that's okay, because once we get the wrap on there, it's gonna look amazing. So we're gonna do this in satin black, dark basalt, and gloss carmine red, I think, from Avery Dennison. So make sure you check them out on Instagram and YouTube. They've got some absolutely wild colors that have come out this year. And other than that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna start with the Obsessed Garage Decon Wash. Then we're gonna roll into some Jack's Wax Clay, get everything dried off, let it air dry for a little bit, and we'll get our ego blower out and help get everything out of those cracks and crevices. Alcohol wipe, and jump straight into the wrap. Here we go. Okay, real quick, just wanted to go over something real briefly. You saw me decon the car, which would get any tree sap or fingerprints and all that other stuff. Now, when I do something like this, I'm not going through and actually washing the car, because it was already clean. If it needed to be clean, so be it. I'll get the wash mitts out and everything else. But in a situation like this, car was already clean, and just needed that decon soap to sit. It's very alkaline. It will break down any waxes or sealants, because the last time I worked on this, I did put a sealant on there, which would be a Jack's Wax Spray and Seal. So with that being said, I just wanted to show you real quick, hopefully you can see this, See how brown that is? Now, if I take and fold it over, you can see the color difference between the gray and the brown. And that's just all junk and contaminants and everything else. So if we're going to I always suggest that anyone who comes to get anything done gets the clay bar treatment. And I only say that because of all this stuff that gets pulled out of it. Now this is the Jax Wax medium clay bar. It's not the super soft, because I think on most cars it's too soft, and it's not hard because now you're looking at causing defects in the paint because it just mars the surface. Now this still has a chance to mar the surface if you don't need the clay, KNEAD. If you don't need the clay and cycle it the different sides. So if I do it, I want to take it and then, you know, it'll get all stretched out like so, like that. And then we're going to take it, fold it over, you know, and get a fresh clean side. So now you can see everything looks nice, light and gray again. And it just, I don't know how this works. I just push the I believe button. But yeah, so now the car is decontaminated chemically and mechanically. Chemical being the soap, mechanically being the clay bar. And what I'll also do is go through with an iron remover, just in case there's any little brake particulates or any other kind of crazy metal filings that might be in the paint. What that does is gives us the smoothest possible surface to lay that wrap down on top of. So I'll go ahead and finish that up and get the car dried, and we'll get going. Okay, so starting to disassemble everything, and first thing we got to do is get this door card off, both the driver and passenger side. As you can see, I've already removed the power switch panel. There's your windows, side mirrors, and the selector for that. It's a simple plug right here. So all you gotta do is push this little tab, give it a firm pull, and it'll come right out. Now this just clips in with a couple of plastic clips. To get that out, I have a small hook, and I start right here at this juncture. Just go here and pop that first clip. And then in the seam down here, you just get a little pull, and all these will pop up, and it comes right out. Usually it comes right out. It did the first time. All right. So that comes out. You got your plug right here. Just tuck that back under. Now you have a 10 millimeter bolt here and a 10 millimeter bolt behind where that bracket was. All we have to do is go in there, release both of those, and the rest of this door card is all held in by plastic clips. Take a plastic pry tool, pop those out, and it actually hooks right here where the window is. So up top, you have to pull from the bottom and then lift so it comes off of here. Now on the back side, there are clips for the speakers and for the airbag and everything. So you just need to be mindful of that as well. And make sure you keep this near, because there's gonna be times where you need to roll the window up and down. So we'll do a time lapse of that. Okay, so as you saw, we disconnected and took out that speaker, the little tweeter up there. So now everything is taken off. Let's back up a little bit. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little plugs. And the last thing you saw from that time lapse was this first screw right here, which is for the side mirror. And what we also need to do is go up in here. So as you see the empty door panel, you come up in here and you see both of those bolts. Those are the other two that hold on to the side mirror there. And these are 8mm bolts right here. These that hold the speakers on, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Those are all 7mm. So we've used 10mm, which are these two bolts, which hold the door card on, a 7mm, which hold the speakers on, and an 8mm, which hold the side mirror on. Okay, 2 seconds. I made an incorrect statement. This bolt right here does not need to come out. This actually holds the door panel to the outside of the door frame itself, or the subframe down here. So scratch that, don't even worry about it. That 8mm bolt does not matter. The two bolts up there, 10mm, they matter. And then you also, if you peel back this tape right here, this will be up like that. You pull this back, and inside is this 10mm nut, and it goes right in there. There's a bolt on the mirror. So this is the inside of the mirror right here. It sits on the door like that. The two 10mm bolts go right there, and this nut goes right here. So all of which are 10mm. For me, I put all bolts that I can, and screws and nuts and washers and everything else, I put them back in the component. Just kind of turn them down a little bit so they're not going anywhere. And then this mirror will go right there. And we're done except for the door handle with this door. Alright everybody, so forgive the lawnmowers outside. The guys are here taking care of the yard because it got all crazy. We thought it was going to get cold here in North Carolina by now. It's the first week of October, and until today it's still been 90+ degrees every day, and grass is still growing, so it is what it is. But neither here nor there. If you notice, this front quarter panel is not magnetic. That's why I'm having to hold it up here, but also that it's already cut out. What I do for this panel, it's almost 60 inches wide, and it's about 35 inches tall from the break in the panel up here to the top. So what I do is, on the other side, I lined it up a full 60 by 60 sheet, and then I cut out that fender, and I'm using the excess over here. It saves material. And I have two roughly cut out of the same, because this wheel well is where the other side is going to be on this tall portion. So if you imagine putting a 60 inch square up. So I'm going to go ahead and get this panel wrapped, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we've got the other front quarter panel wrapped. I just wanted to show you something. This driver's side of the car is the one that got damaged. So we have all new paint work, and some of the body panels got redone. But the paint all on this side is all brand new. And something that concerns me is, can you see this little haze right there? That actually goes all the way down this side, and it's from a, here's another part right there, you can see those holograms. And those are actually from the body shop, taking a rotary buffer and just crushing the finish on this paint. So there it is right there, you can see that. And that's typically when I'm doing a paint correction, what we're trying to pull out of the paint. But because we're wrapping this, I'm not gonna take even more time, and it's not what was in the budget for this job. So we're gonna wrap over it. If my buddy ever wants to pull the wrap off and just get it corrected, we can address it at that time. But I wanted to show you what can happen, and if you get body work done, just know that you should take it to a respectable detailer, somebody who knows what they're doing and can fix it. Because as you can see, it looks perfect over there until you get a light on it, and then it all looks like that right there, and it should not look that way. But anyway, we'll go ahead and continue on with the wrap. So we've got the door, front quarter panel, the trunk lid done. And I wanted to get those done so that when I knock out this quarter panel, the gas cap back here, which goes up and over, this panel goes up and over, it's basically your C pillar. B pillar doesn't get wrapped, and all the way up to the A pillar up and over. Then this whole side of the car, aside from the lower rocker panel, which is relatively easy because the door's already done. When I come with the material sheet over top, what you're going to see me do is cut as close to this body gap right here, follow the door up and around, and then down over there. That'll give me plenty of material to work with, especially when I cut back here on this body line over the wheel well and down, so that I'll have scrap material to use here. What I get from where the door is, what I'm going to do there is use all that excess material for all the inlays on the front and rear bumpers, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. So we'll have plenty of excess material to do the mirrors, all our inlays, and knock all of that out. So pretty much once we get this done, this whole side of the car will be done again, aside from that rocker panel. But I just wanted to kind of explain my thought process before actually getting into the time lapse for this. So if you have any questions over what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, or maybe some suggestions, if you know an easier way to go about this, I'm all about learning, I'm all about getting better and more efficient with my wraps. So drop me a comment down below and let me know what might work better. Thanks. Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap back here the rear bumper. And a big thing with your bumpers is you want to make sure where there's deep recesses that we have inlays, okay? So if I were to come across the bumper, where the license plate goes is such a deep, I mean, it's almost a 2-inch recess up here, and then it angles out, and the upper portion of the bumper angles down to where right here and right over here, it comes together at this angle, as you can see right here. So with that being said, right in here, I'm gonna do an inlay. Once the material comes over top, all of this is gonna disappear and you won't even see it. So what I'll do is I'll put this piece in, wrap across the bumper, and I'll cut about 1/4 of an inch past this portion right here, and I'll wrap underneath, and I'll take all this flap and I'll run it up and meet up under here. What that'll do is ensure long-term durability and make sure that we don't have any issues moving forward. You might see a little bit of this corner and a little bit of this corner, but what's great about satin black is it all just kind of disappears because of the inlay. So we pulled the taillights out so that I can wrap underneath them, and we're not shortchanging anything, we're not cutting any corners, no pun intended. But obviously it's very dirty back here and underneath the lights, so I'm gonna start with the Rag Company Creature Edgeless and some Jack's Wax waterless wash or rinseless wash, and I'm gonna go through and get that up. I'll follow that up with a very low pile microfiber towel and isopropyl alcohol and water mixture to wipe down the whole bumper before we wrap. So you'll see that. So we're rounding third, so to speak, on the Mustang wrap. I do have the spoiler left to do in the front bumper. The inlays, I'll show you here in just a second. The inlays are already done, so this is just going to be mainly getting the material wrapped around and then doing a lot of cutting after we get everything glassed out, squeegeed down, and taken care of. With that being said, I'm out here by myself. Mama's inside with baby boy, and big sister's in the backyard driving Nana. So with that, I've got the material rolled up, and I do that so that I can tack it down on one side, roll it around, and at least get it on the material, the backing paper pulled off, without having it flopping everywhere. Whereas on the rear bumper, it's magnetic, and that's our biggest struggle. Is the quarter panels, the hood, and the front bumper are all non-magnetic. So with that, a couple of challenges, but nothing we can't handle. Aside from that, like I said, I'll get it rolled out and I'll show you just how I do everything. Okay, so we have an inlay down in this area and on the other side, and then this part right here on the bumper. Now, I do that because that's such a deep recess, whereas under there, up under here, it's not as bad. It's not as sharp of a recess. I also have a small inlay under this portion and along here, because I can get the material to easily go on this section, but asking it to then bend again, you'll usually get lifting right here and definitely lifting up in there. So it just makes life easier to put a couple of quick inlays. This down here is also already done. So really we're just concerned with the side, which is simple, and then this upper section of the bumper. Everything down there is already taken care of. And that's just setting us up for success. Okay, so the front end's done. We already saw that. What I wanted to go over, so with the wrap all down, now we're gonna wrap on top of wrap. And what we're doing is racing stripes and some accent pin stripes on the outside of that. So easiest way for me to do this is there's, the bumper comes to a point. It's like an actual raised, like a point. So I go from here, you can see right here in the middle of the windshield, there's that label. So I center it on that. Up here we have the Ford logo, right up there. That's centered. And what's great is we can use the antenna hole, which is right here. And then there's actually a little pinhole right there in the light that gives us a center mark to go off of. And then back here it's really easy because we have the rear view camera, and you can go halfway between these two windshield or rear window marks, and that gives us a perfect line all the way down the car. And then all it takes is some knifeless tape. Shout out to 3M for that. And we lay the knifeless tape down, pull up all the painter's tape if you want to. You don't have to. You can lay the vinyl on top of that. It actually has a really low surface energy, so it doesn't easily adhere to that. And just making sure all your lines are straight. And then from there, lay the vinyl down, pull your from there, lay your vinyl down, pull the knifeless tape, and you got stripes. So I'll go ahead and time lapse at least the hood, since I already have the knifeless tape down there. I just don't want to bore you with an extended time lapse of, you know, laying down stripes. But neither here nor there, I just wanted to talk you through that. Once you get done with that, you still got to do the spoiler. Waiting on Mama to come out and give me a hand with that, because it's easier if two people do that. And then get it cleaned up, get it coated, send her on her way. All right, so we are done with the Mustang. I'm gonna go around and get a couple of cinematic shots or what have you. But overall, an awesome project. Kind of humbling because I did this in a much shorter amount of time than what I normally do. However, everything just kind of fell into place once we really got going. So everything on the car, as far as the wrap is concerned, is from Avery Dennison. We've got satin black, satin dark basalt, and I can't remember the exact red, but it's one of their middle of the road. It's not super dark, not really light reds, and it's a gloss. So we have two satin and a gloss, and I think it pops just so, and it looks really awesome. Also, if you notice, or if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've worked on this car a couple of times before, and we had dark smoke from Lux Auto Concepts on the taillights and the side markers, and we have mid smoke on the headlights. Both of those materials are a gloss material. So what I did, just to tie everything in, is I left the mid smoke on the headlights because that's going to bring a little bit of gloss pop on the front end of the car, but also it's going to allow the light to project straight through that material. Whereas with the stealth material from Lux, which is what's on the taillights and the side markers now, that stealth material kind of diffuses the light a little bit more and it's not great for headlights. Looks awesome on the taillights, but I don't generally suggest it for headlights. So we have dark stealth on the taillights and the side markers now, mid smoke on the headlights, and then Avery Dennison on the car. Without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and walk around the car and show you everything on it. And thanks again for watching. If you have any comment or any questions or comments or suggestions or anything like that, drop me a comment below. And don't forget, smile more.